welcome back to Holler Podcast. Finally back this week, and we have our main man Adam Buzzio with us here this week, and also Carl Pooler joining in again. Carl officially has the Iron Man record for the Holler Podcast, being here for every single episode. But obviously, we're missing Richard again this week because that's a normal occurrence with him. But how are y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing? Carl looks like he's doing great over there.
I'm
Carl's
sad
flagged
it's
out.
not Friday. Yeah, I'm sad it's not Friday yet, but it's not too bad. I'm just tired.
Well, Friday is tomorrow, and it's a long weekend for, I guess, some people. I don't know if everyone, but it's a long weekend for most, so it'd be a good time to go out to the lake and enjoy it. But we have a lot to cover tonight. Before we even get into it, I want to give a quick shout out to obviously all of our sponsors that support us here at BRB Racing League. And that could be Butt Kicker, Leader in Haptics, Sundance Pizza, Idealease, Ascendance Trucks, RevSimShop.com, Performance Food Group, Maddox Graphics, and of course Advanced GG. And for Advanced GG, you can get 10% off your order with Wolf X Live 10, and all proceeds go directly back into the league. And also, check out the BRB merch hauler on Etsy. You can get a cool flag like Carl has back there, or if you're on a team, you can get one of your team flags, team shirts, team hats, stickers. What else do we have? Yard flags, koozies, glasses. We're gonna start having everything pretty soon here. We're gonna be our own Temu
Onesies,
shop.
you know,
Yeah,
for all
onesies,
the.
and now youth graphic shirts as well. If you have an older kid, I guess, not an infant in your life as well. But oh
We
boy,
have
oh boy.
everything you could possibly need at the BRB merch hauler.
Basically, but we're always looking to add more. I hope one day we can get diecast somehow. I don't know how to make that possible, but that
That
would
would be
be amazing.
crazy.
It'd be awesome.
Robert saying that he knows how. He's going to hand paint each of them himself. Well, we might have to talk to them about it. But
The
what?
disembodied voice, everybody.
Yeah, disembodied voice makes the appearance once again. You could always turn on your voice, but you don't.
Oh man,
we'll get into that
Robert's
meatball
on a
here pretty
rant.
soon.
Yeah.
But getting into it, we'll go right into it. Last week we were at Iowa Speedway for the Seal Desk 200 presented by Pit Stop TV. I guess it was 200 laps, wasn't it? It was a long freaking race.
That it was.
Sim Racer has it clocked at 2 hours and 15 minutes. It felt longer than that. I'm gonna be honest. I really thought it was a 2 hour and 45 minute kind of race, but a lot of long race, lots of cautions, 20 total cautions, which would leave I think 19 for incident because one ended stage. Was it stage 1 or stage 2? One of them ended under due to a caution. So 19 for incident. A total of 5 different leaders with 6 lead changes and 200 laps. And of course, Gavin Rogers getting his 14th victory in the Butt Kicker Cup Series.
Let's go,
I can't
Gavin.
say it's a surprise, but I mean, Gavin's just super dominant whenever he wins these races. What's wrong, Robert?
Robert seems
He's over here
upset,
messing
everybody.
me up. But now Gavin again just picking up on his domination, leading 157 laps, 157 of the 200 laps, on the way to the win. But however, Ronnie Osmer and Kyle Heath were, I would argue, just as fast as Gavin, but passing at Iowa is a whole other thing when you're the same speed as someone. Carl, take us through your race and what you saw.
Oh man, so I was thinking, it's Iowa. You just want to survive, and I know we were talking about it last week. You just want to kind of hang back sometimes, and let everything happen. And so I just went into qualifying, just putting down a regular old lap, like I thought, like just wanted to do because I don't qualify well, and I qualify at 8th. So that flips my whole strategy around. Overall, I feel like I did all right. Turn 3 and 4 were just a mess for me all night long. I really couldn't attack 3 as much as I wanted to. If I was like a half lane up out of that outside line, I just kept getting loose no matter how many times I tried. I spun out twice, caused a caution once. Oh, yeah, I guess a full spin out twice, caused a caution once. But overall, I got some stage points, led some laps, finished 10th. I could have finished 5th, but I did that to myself. I'm considering it was Iowa, I was really, really happy with how it turned out. I know there's not a lot to be said about 20 cautions, 19 cautions for incident, but it could have been worse. So I feel like there's a silver lining there.
It definitely could have been worse. I mean, just going back to, I guess 2 seasons ago yeah, 2 seasons ago, Richmond, or last year at Phoenix, around the same time of the season for those seasons. And with both of them, we technically had less cars than we had this past week. In both of those previous races, there were even more cautions than 20. So considering everything, it wasn't the worst thing ever. We've definitely had worse races as a league. And I think that just says a lot about having the 39 guys that we had, and it wasn't a complete blank show. I don't want to curse on here, but
Well, I mentioned in the Discord, before we started the race, it was in season 2 we had 14 drivers and 15 cautions total for 200 laps. So having 39 drivers, 38 drivers that showed up, having 20 cautions,
Mhm.
all things considered, you can kind of come away with this as a maybe a minute win. There was a lot of self spins. Really, think about, we had 3 or 4 self spins, myself included, that were cautions that didn't collect anyone. So really, it could have been a lot worse, considering all the circumstances.
I think some of that might have to do with um, this time at a short track we didn't have a fast repair. I know
Mm.
short track damage isn't typically enough to take you out of a race from one incident, but I know, especially on Jared's behalf, it took him out of the race on that one incident. But that kind of thing too, you kind of dwindle down your number of drivers as you go on through a race, and just naturally you're going to get slightly less yellows running with less cars. So I think that might have had a little bit of impact there. And if it did, I think overall it was still a good choice to remove that fast repair. It sucks when you get taken out early, but it's part of racing. Adam, take us through your race.
Well, I didn't qualify terrible, which is new for me. I think I qualified 11th, but it's out of, which isn't great, but it's not 41st either. I got to start the race, which was also new for season 4, um, based on the technical issues and things I've dealt with the first 2 races of the season. So that was also really exciting. But no, had good pace. Stage 1 was pretty uneventful, from my seat. Made up some ground, made a couple clean passes. Was running 5th or 6th there with 3 or 4 to go in the stage, and got kamikaze by Richard.
Oh, who
Brought
would
out
have
the
guessed?
yellow with I think it was 3 to go with the stage. I had just made a comment on the restart before, and this isn't to call anybody out. It was just kind of joking amongst the team at the time. I said, "Man, I got Richard on my inside and Brendan behind me, so I'm not going to make it through this lap." And then
Hey, Richard
And you
struck.
knew it.
about a corner after that, Richard killed me. It wasn't egregious. I think he overcorrected. I think he got loose and overcorrected up into me, but ended up back in 30th with two or three to go with the stage in stage 1, and made the decision to flip it based on track position at the time, and it just seemed like the right thing to do. So flipped the stage and restarted stage 2, and I think 5th. And so that was my big brain moment of the race, if you will, was to just suck it up and flip that stage, fix the damage, and get tires. And I don't think we fell out of the top 5 for the rest of the night.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing you move from there the rest.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously there were a lot of yellows. That's no secret, but we did have a couple decent little runs there. And we made our way up to 2nd and 3rd, towards the end of the race there, and managed to come home 3rd overall. So fun race. I mean, a lot of yellows, but I was a super difficult track, even if you're just out there by yourself making laps. So with 41 guys and it only being our 3rd race of the season, would I have liked to have seen less yellows? Yes, obviously. but I still managed to have fun. But I think I'm a little unique in that aspect because I was just super excited that I was racing and my computer wasn't on fire. So yeah, that was pretty much my race.
Yeah, it was a good run that you needed after the start that you had to the season, and I felt the same way about myself, being a tough start to the season, and unfortunately, got a drive-through penalty. I think 8 laps into the race for running through Scott Fritz there. Obviously wasn't intentional, but I was a little worried about the driver on my inside there, and probably gave him a little too much room and Scott not enough room. So starting behind the 8 ball there, didn't get stage points stage one, but then slowly just picked my way through the field and got up for some stage points during stage two, and then pretty much stayed roughly around that top five range the rest of the race. There was a little run that we had that I slipped back a little bit from burning the tires off the car, but overall it was a good race. Iowa's a good track. It's really difficult to complete a pass since it seems like the top and the bottom are pretty even for the most part. Um, and it's interesting that to me that y'all were struggling with 3 and 4. Carl, you mentioned of I felt the complete opposite. I liked 3 and 4, but 1 and 2 were very difficult for me. And I don't know if it was because of that bump or the different radius of the corner. It just felt weird to me all night. Um, but all things considered, I think it was a solid league race. It was nothing like Martinsville. It was nothing like Richmond in the past, Phoenix, etc. And especially going to Michigan now next week. I think we all know it's going to be a good show just because it's been a great show every time we've gone there with less drivers. So if we have 40 plus drivers at Michigan, it's going to be a good time for sure.
4 or 5 wide. It's gonna be quite.
Oh yeah,
I think has the potential to be really crazy, and we're gonna definitely get our money's worth out of Pit Stop TV because I rewatched it a couple times, Iowa race, and they were exciting. They were really fun, and I always enjoy watching the races back the next day. That Andrew puts out there, so it's good to see it, and it's gonna be fun. Michigan's gonna be fun. I have confidence.
I never like when you say it. It's like we're gonna have fun or we're having fun. Adam says that a lot, and usually that's when things aren't going very well. Um,
I do. I'm usually facetious about it. So
yeah,
Well, Adam's having fun with this camera right now, so
yeah.
yeah, no, we're good. I got clearance from the boss to switch it out there. It was super blurry. I always struggle with I should be popping back up here
Technology.
any second.
You're
Technology
you're
in
just too
general.
old.
It's true. All of the things Steven is saying is true. No, I should be back now and slightly more clear, I hope. So,
I would agree.
okay.
I did want to give just a couple shout outs to some guys from last race. Obviously, Kyle Heath was bad fast towards the end there. Uh, Ronnie Osmer was strong all night. Evan Patinko had a great run as well. He stayed up in that top five, top 10 fight all night, really showing his speed that he has, and really impressed there. Um, I think someone else must have stood out to me. Braxton Skinner was up there for a bit. I think he was on a different tire strategy before he self-spun going into three. Um, but he showed really good pace there for a while. But yeah, anyone y'all can think of that stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned a couple guys. Kyle Heath, obviously. Ronnie stood out a lot to me. I mean, he was up there. I know Kyle had some issues early on, which I think kind of shuffled him into the back. So we didn't see him again until later in the race when he was up front. But Ronnie, man, I mean, he legitimately had something for Gavin. I don't know what that would have looked like on a really long run, if that would have held up or not. But Ronnie, Kyle, um, Andrew Rattel, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. I apologize if I am. He was up front and seemed like he was able to stay up there when he wasn't having a problem. Um, Obviously Gavin for straight up domination. And then my teammate Steven too. He was up there racing with me, which was nice.
It was nice for a change to not see you all the way in the back with me during Well, I
it was
guess
nice to
Daytona
see
you weren't, but
it was nice to see me out there at all. So
yeah, more so. You
Oh
probably
man,
put in.
okay. You know, it's crazy. We keep talking about Ronnie Osmer, and we haven't even mentioned that he pit with like 3 laps to go, got 4 tires, came out in 15th, something like that,
Yeah,
and in three
I
laps went around and finished 6th.
man, I wish we could have recorded our team chat during that because he pulled off to pit and I think there was obviously an incident right before that, but I think it happened in front of me, Ronnie, and
Mhm.
Steven. So Steven and I were like, "Oh, he must have been involved. He had damage or whatever." Nope. Homeboy was like, "Tires or death. I'm going for it." And we were just dumbfounded by the tire call. But I mean, it didn't turn out terrible for him. I mean, he got sixth, but I got to be honest though, I don't see him finishing worse than third if he stays out. So
Hmm.
I don't think he was satisfied. I think with a third, he
yeah,
wanted the chance to win, and he knew he couldn't get around Gavin the way it'd been going. Is my guess.
yeah, you're probably right. Not I guess my approach is a lot different than other people's, especially last week or this week. I was just like, I'm super happy to be in third. This
Yes.
is great. I love this. But obviously but I knew I wasn't fast enough to beat Ronnie or Gavin. So I was content where I was, but obviously Ronnie had more speed and he wanted to try to go out there and get it. Oh, he's in the chat. Ronnie's in the chat. He said, "Y'all had
Was
me
it?
3v1, so I had to try something." Which
Yeah,
is fair.
we
Yeah,
we did.
we were up there. Next level was up there mucking it up for everybody.
Mucking it up in a way, but also I think Adam, you said it at a couple points of like, I'm not really trying to slow Ronnie up just because I know he's going to blow the doors off of me.
I
Like
I
we can
I
get a jump
did.
on the restart, but we're not going to hold it long.
Yeah, Gavin was, obviously we were working together on the restarts and Ronnie figured that out pretty quick. So he started pulling up behind Gavin on the restarts, which was
Mm.
smart on his part to do. But Gavin, I think, was a little frustrated with me because he'd be like, "All right, don't let Ronnie get past you in turn one." And I was like, "Okay, bro, bye, Ronnie." I don't think I was fully accelerating out of two on any restart. I was like, "See ya, you go get it."
Yeah,
So
it's just one of those
That would have
things. You
been a
just
good fight if Ronnie had a couple more laps. It'd been interesting to see that pan out.
oh,
it
if
would
he
have
had
been cool.
fresh tires catching him too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
it would have been cool. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sad that we didn't do any more laps on Tuesday. But it would have been a good fight to watch for sure.
I
I'm
wish we
sure
had
we'll
one
get
more lap.
you do. I know you do. I know I was holding you up a little bit. To go back to what Steven said though, I thought it was interesting because Carl and I agreed, and there's quite a few people in chat right now too, so maybe you guys could comment, but I struggled. I through 1 and 2, I felt great. I had no issues
Hmm.
all night. I had a perfect breaking point and my line was perfect. I had the bump figured out, whether the tires were
Hmm.
hot, cold, didn't matter. I was good through 1 and 2. But I could not get 3 and 4 figured out. I out of 200 laps, I think I felt good through that corner 3 or 4 times. And I could never
Hmm.
duplicate it when I felt good through there. I would get loose on entry. I wasn't struggling coming out. A lot of people were talking about getting loose coming out of 4, but I didn't struggle with that so much. It was getting into 3 and it would just slowly slide and I would scrub speed every single time. And
You
I
don't
never
have to
figured
share, but what was your brake bias?
I ran so I think iRacing did a good job on the fixed setup for this one because I didn't change my master cylinders for this. I
Mhm.
ran a couple different options in practice and during the practice race, but um I kept coming back to the stock master cylinder, which I think was 15th, 16th in the front and maybe 27, 30 seconds in the rear.
I
Or
don't
maybe
remember what it
I think I
was.
have it flipped. But either way, I ran the stock brake bias and I would start off at like 48%. And as the run would progress, I would actually move it up because the more I had it towards the rear, the more I got that rear kick out. So I would adjust the brake bias and move it up throughout the run to mitigate
I
that a
don't know how
little
y'all
bit.
can do that. I
I
don't have
got
the
a knob.
mental capacity.
I got a magic knob on the wheel where I don't have to
Oh,
go
I
to
do
my
too.
black.
I just scared to touch it.
um, but yeah, I just couldn't figure it out, man. And I tried throughout the race to change different change my line a little bit, change my break point a little bit. I don't know. I never figured it out. So
Yeah, I pretty much you kind of described it play for me there, Adam. Is I had the same issue. Is the exit of 4 I could deal with, but if I entered wrong into 3, it was automatically lose. And I did mess with the master cylinders and the brake bias, and I really had to concentrate. I felt like if I was decent in 3 and 4, I was bad at 1 and 2. But if I was good in 1 and 2, like good or great, because I had a good line, then I was bad in 3 and 4 either way. So I felt like I gained more time in 1 and 2, and it seemed to work out for the most part until the very last lap.
Yeah, that last lap was pretty hectic back there. It looked like.
Between me and myself and Joshua Parents kind of pirouetting,
And then the rest of the
almost.
field.
I think the rest of the field was just in go mode at that point.
Yeah,
I mean, we
just
were
stay
I
alive.
mean,
literally
it's the final lap. Like, come on,
the
there's no
final corner of the
caution.
final lap. Like
Yeah.
you're just I can't. I honestly, obviously
I
I get
wouldn't
on
stop.
everybody. Yeah, I get on everybody for
Oh,
the ARCA braking, but I would have at that point you just gotta get through and hope you get to the line. So
Yeah. The last lap, I think a little bit of an arc break is kind of understandable.
yeah,
yeah.
Especially last corner.
especially coming to the
Exactly.
line. Yeah. Real
I mean,
quick
it's not
before I
like
forget.
anyone got into the rear end of anyone and intentionally took him out. Austin Dillon. But
Debatable.
Real quick before I forget, because I saw him in chat just now, I did want to give a quick shout out to Nick Renner. He had a great
How
race
dare
put
you.
together. I know, I'm a bad man. But he had a great race put together, and he was quick. He was running right behind. I think he was in between Steven and I. I think I was in third, Nick was in fourth, and Steven was in fifth. And homeboy's sim crashed, just blue screened right out of the session, and obviously that was that. But he was quick, man. Nick has been impressing me lately with his speed. So
He's always been quick. He just usually doesn't stay out of the mess. He usually shoots himself in the foot. But he's been doing better. I'll give him a little bit of credit. But you passed him in the standings already, and you only finished one race. So
go me.
with that, let's go ahead and move on to our meatball of the week for this week. We already have our driver vote. Oh, there it is. That was
There it
very
is.
laggy.
We got a bit of a delay there.
But we already have our driver vote of the week, and this week it is Robert Moyer Jr. And you can't hear him, but he is very, very thankful for everyone who voted for him. He's thinking about giving a speech before the next race just to thank everyone. It means a lot to him that he finally won something.
We're actually going to send Robert 2 stickers just because of how proud we are of him.
Jeez.
2 stickers. Yeah, we're breaking the budget for you, buddy.
Oh goodness, I'm pulling up. Richard sent me his meatball of the week already, so I'm going to read this word for word. Let me just make sure it is respectful.
I have a guess.
Okay, so Richard picks Zachary Maddox, and he says, last caution, spin from the apron. If you're going to get out of the way of, or if you're going to get out of the way of the leaders, do it respectfully down on the apron and slow down. That's all. Nothing major.
Now he almost took out Gavin with that, though.
He
That was
almost took out the top
crazy.
4 with it.
Yeah,
I
it was close.
know.
It was close.
So yeah,
for
I
sure.
can see how that's a legitimate meatball, and it's.
I know it's typing weird.
What are you doing over there?
I don't know. I'm just trying to get by every day.
He's
It's
doing a good
okay.
job.
Everybody can hear me now.
Everyone can hear
That's all.
how excited you are.
Yeah, well, I figured I might as well talk for the meatball.
Yeah.
So, thank you
go ahead and
everybody for
defend yourself.
voting. Well, thank you everybody for voting for me. I actually won something, this year after last year not really winning anything. Don't know how to win stage points or even get a 10th place. So I'm going to take this with pride and maybe do it the rest of the year, every race. We'll have to see.
Yeah, you'll win an award that way.
Hey, I gotta win something, right? I mean, I can't beat Sam. I don't even know what to do anymore. To be honest with you, I'm
You
Well,
always
you
wreck
can say-
Sam.
You could wreck Sam each week.
I've
with the
done that
meatball.
in season 3 and got yelled at. So
What's the worst he can do?
yell at me more.
Yeah, it's not that
But
bad.
yeah, I was shocked to see that when I seen the meatballs. Like my name, it's like, oh crap.
I'm gonna be honest. I was equally surprised that you were leading as much as you were leading that vote early on, and it stayed through it. But to
Well,
each opinion.
yeah, I mean, I seen the vote, and he posted, he posted that image, and I'm like, what the heck? We got 43 drivers. There's only 4 votes, but I didn't realize the timestamp when he did it. I had to apologize for that, and I was like, oh crap! Now I was just better off shut up.
A double meatball. That's why you get 2 stickers.
Sweet.
And
I'll
make
put them
sure
on.
make sure to reach out to Rev.
Oh, I will,
We'll
and
get it too.
I'll have them right here in the back with the rest of my BRB stuff when I stream.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
So
And Carl, who you got for your meatball this week?
Oh, my meatball of the week is gonna go to rookie Dan Stoccaro. And I like that we're talking about this right now because Jared did kind of hint at the situation, and just watching the broadcast, it just I felt so bad for Jared because he did everything he was supposed to do. He spun out, we're crashing down the front stretch. He's locked on the brakes. You know, there's smoke pouring from his tires, and still, just ever so. I don't know how rough it looked. I don't know. Don't know what the speed, but he still just thunk right into Jared. I'm like, oh man, there's so many things you can do there, and he didn't do a single one. So I kind of feel bad for Jared there. So
Yeah,
Dan Stoccaro.
and that gave Jared too much damage. We're done in the pits, and obviously with the start of the season that he's had, he was not too happy about that. But at least he got some stage points in the first stage to at least soften the blow a little bit.
and again, how did I win and he didn't win? He literally drove into the smoke and arc braked from a half a mile back.
Well,
Oh
I
man,
don't
and
even-
he's in
I don't
the
even think
chat
he was in
now,
the
so
voting.
this
Well,
is great.
Sorry, man, but even the broadcast even said, he was like, "What in the world?" Oh well.
Welcome Dan to the BRB Racing League. We got to give you a hard time. It was just kind of a slow motion comedy, as it were.
If you do it again, just make sure you do it to Jared again.
It's
Because
all
I
in
feel like that
fun.
always happens to him. He got arc break for
Oh,
Richard
man.
last year. Or last season, whatever we want to call it.
It's all in fun.
It is all in fun.
Yep.
To not be original, I'm also going to go with Zachary Maddox, like Richard, just because when I saw it happen, I was terrified. And just the situation, it didn't seem like that point in the race. You try to do everything you can to not let a yellow come out if you're not one of the front running guys, because then that changes a lot of the race, and it can rub people the wrong way if something goes against them, I guess, after the caution, and it goes against their strategy or something, and it's just an avoidable incident in my head, and that's why it deserves a meatball.
You know, with as many people as were out there just wanting that race to end at that point, I am surprised that Robert did get the driver vote, and not Zachary Maddox.
I am very shocked, but hey, Robert's got to win something.
I had my own. I had a
Amen.
pick that wasn't even on the list. I didn't realize mine wasn't on the list. Not that I matter, but
You do matter. And go ahead and
Because
give
you
us
are
your pick.
mad.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Is
I
it
don't get
yourself?
stage points, and you finished race. I raced more races than you, and you jumped me in points. What
I'm
the
overachiever.
freaking crap is this?
No,
In a
I
nice
was
way.
I was gonna vote for Braxton Skinner for his
Mm,
full send.
that was a good one.
Oh man, I watched that back a couple times, man. That was He went for it. He did. He went for it.
And it didn't stick.
That's
I
what I
think it was
say.
into. I think it was going into 3. He was behind Renner, and I was in front of Renner, and Renner ran into the back of me. And I was like, "What in the world was that?" He goes, "That was Braxton," and I was like, "Oh, okay." I didn't think much of it, and then I went back and watched the broadcast, and it was. I think he went into that corner at about the same speed you go into a corner at Michigan, so it was impressive.
It was very terrifying, and then I think Dakota Camper was just in the wrong spot at the wrong time, and kind of got into him after that. But
Yeah, it was a little rough after the send happened.
yeah, but what can you do? What can you do? So those are our meatballs of the week. I think Zachary King will probably get us an updated standings tally of who's leading that for this season. Yes, King, Adam is picking Skinner.
I did.
Well,
It's
glad
true.
you understand and have some listening comprehension.
English is
Um,
hard.
It is hard. With that, let's go ahead and get into our standings. Now that we actually have some races in the books and a drop week actually calculated into it, so it gives us more of a realistic idea where people stand. Still probably want to take it with a little bit of grain of salt, just because we are only three races in, and a bad race from someone else that hasn't had a bad race yet, that'll be their drop race, and they might stay where they are, et cetera, et cetera. But on the left side are the top 12, and then the right side, 13th through 24th. So real quick, we have Ronnie Osmer leading the way over Dustin Stallings in second, 2 points behind. Kyle Heath right there with them, 3 points behind. Dylan, is it pronounced? Do y'all know Jaeger or
It's
Yeager?
Jaeger. I
It is
believe it's
Jaeger?
Jaeger. I believe so.
Okay. Dylan, I apologize if first time saying it for you, but Dylan Yeager 15 behind, Matthew Selby 18 behind, Christian Barnes another rookie 21 behind, Coda Camper in 7th 22 behind, with Isaiah Sutherland also 22 behind, Richard Wolsifer 9th, Patrick Hernandez 10th, Gray Walker 11th, and Evan Patinko rounding out those top 12 chase drivers right now. And then you see Carl Pooler right below the cutoff at only 2 points back of
Yeah, boy.
and just to note out, 13th through 43rd now in the standings is the points behind 12th, and not behind first. So that's why things might look a little odd, but it's obviously really tight between 13th on back. I mean, realistically, between 10th on back to 30 something, there's nowhere to go just because we've run 3 races and only 2 of them count. So again, I'm not going to go too deep into this and really dissect into the standings because it's still very early.
It is early, but I like being right there because last season I was not so close. So I like where I'm at right now. There's a couple of guys behind me that I'm not so excited about, like Johnny Wood. He missed Iowa, so he's going to obviously use that as his drop week. But there's Adam there creeping in an 18th spot already, and yourself in 23rd. This is you guys can stay behind me. I'm okay with that.
It's tough starting the season in a whole, like
Oh
Adam and
man,
I are.
is it ever? I mean, the drop race is great or whatever, but there's a very real chance at some point, I actually miss a race, or I can't be home for a race, or just have a bad race on track, as opposed to having it chalked up to a technical issue, because it's not going to get worse than it did. Like, I won't have a worse race than I did at Daytona, right? Because I think I didn't even get. Actually, that's in there. Let's think about that real quick. So I think the sim counted me as missing Daytona. So does that count as the drop race? I would have
would
to, right?
That's
I
a
would
think so because
great
that's 0
question.
points.
0 points. That's all Sim
Yeah.
Racer cares about. So yeah, I mean, that's, you can't. And Steven's kind of in a similar situation just because of 2 really bad races. You know what I mean? No matter what happens for the rest of the season.
Well, and I already know I'm missing one too later in the season, so puts me
right.
in
And I,
even deeper hole.
how long does the season go up into, Steven? Off the top of your head, does it go into September?
Date-wise,
Yeah.
regular season.
No,
is
the whole.
rough-
Oh yeah, I guess the whole thing. Yeah.
Regular season is roughly around August, so yeah, the championship is in September at some point, I think.
There's a very real chance I have a baby
Yeah.
during the chase. So even if I make it,
Take your
it's
laptop.
up in there. But Robert said take my
Laptop to the
laptop.
hospital.
Yeah, my wife would love that.
Why not?
But no, I think it's interesting to look at the top, 5 or 10 guys there in the points right now. We have a lot of rookies, which is great. I mean, that means we're growing, and we're growing with people that are competitive and that have speed. Um, but I think some of the stories too are people who aren't in the chase right now.
Yeah.
I know it's still very early, but I don't know, man. I think just from the first couple races that I've seen, I think Ronnie, Dustin, Kyle, I I mean, they've kind of been in a league of their own this season.
Yeah.
Again, we're only 3 races in, but it's been 3 very different tracks. You can chalk Daytona up to, Daytona. But the last 2 tracks, I mean, those are no joke. So to see them up there and already kind of extending out a lead, I mean, compared to the rest of the field, I think it's something to watch for the rest of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if those top 3 look like that for quite a while.
Well, right now I'm counting 33 drivers have started all 3 races right now. And that is huge. Not
Wow.
only for, just dropping the race, your drop race, but also for stage points.
Yeah.
We've had that many drivers. And Adam, that's not including you because again, it didn't count Daytona, but technically you were there. So
Yeah.
if you were to finish one lap, that's 34 drivers out of our whole field that are trying to get into the chase. And not to rub salt on the wound, but I had a bad Atlanta. That was my drop race, the very first race, and I never could recover after that. And we weren't didn't have that many drivers as we have now. So it's going to be tough for those already outside the chase trying to claw themselves in.
Yeah, and I can confirm, Adam, that Daytona is your drop race according to SimRacer Hub, because
Yeah.
it doesn't have you in there at all.
So it'll keep that for the rest of the season.
Correct.
And to kind of expand on what Carl just mentioned about the stage points, and I'm not picking on Richard here, but if Richard didn't kill me on Tuesday, I think I would have gotten 5 or 6 extra points. So, and look, I mean, all of a sudden now I'm what?
14th,
Now I'm
you'd be a point
13th
behind
or
me.
yeah, 14th. So
Yep.
every single point matters, man. That's why, last week Daytona I couldn't even race at all. But last week once I got everything worked out, on the technical side, I drove around 35 laps down because people kept wrecking and people kept quitting the race. I think I made up 8 or 9 spots by just finishing the race. Um, it's not fun, but that's the stuff you got to do if you want to try to have a shot at this. So
Well, and we see this in real life too, is drivers have issues early on in the race, whether it be it mechanical or damage or anything. You see some of those cars out there on Barabon, and especially at tracks like Daytona, Talladega, even the short tracks. They come out and you still see them finish a top 20. And who knows? It does come down to them being in the chase. And we're facing that here. We have the same, very similar field sizes, and anything could happen. It's only race 3 out of 15 race regular season. So there's still a lot that can go on. We still have Michigan coming up next week. Coda after that, anything can still happen these first third of the season.
Yeah, and I look at these 2 pages of the standings, and I see some massive surprises. I think guys that are just unperforming to their ability, and that's not necessarily unperforming. They might be caught up in incidents. I know specifically Scott Fritz
Yeah, it's just
has
gonna
had
pull.
a
Yep.
very terrible 3 weeks. Most of it not his fault. Obviously, I got into him last week, which probably started his downfall at Iowa. But him in 40th, that was a chase driver last season, or right on the cut of the chase last season. Joshua Parent, he's shown a lot of speed, not even just this season, but when he's run with us previously. Obviously,
26th.
Jared Hughes, 32nd, finished 4th every season seasons 1, 2, and 3 finished 4th each season. And 26th, like Robert said, Brendan Maddox, with another slow start. And there becomes a point where it is almost impossible to dig your way out of it. I don't think we're there yet, but if
A
we go
couple
another
good
2
stages
weeks,
can change a whole season for some of these guys right now.
Definitely. It's still early on. Brendan's only 16 points back of the cut. Jared's 27, but it's not about the points at this point. It's how many drivers you have to jump over in the standings to get up there. And if it goes on for a couple more weeks where these guys still haven't moved up a little bit, it gets very difficult once we get to 6 races left before the chase to make those big jumps.
Your
Yeah,
race.
no, that's a
Yeah,
really
because
that's a really good point, Stephen. The amount of people, it's not just about you having a good, and I said this last season in the chase when we were, kind of figuring out what everyone needed to get there. It's not just about having a good race for yourself. It's how many people you need ahead of you to have a bad race.
Or just an off race. Like they don't even
Or
need to
yeah, not
finish
even a
last.
bad race,
Just
just an off
mediocre.
race. So
So
it's going to be. We all knew. I think all the admins knew going into this season that it was going to be kind of a tall order to make the chase this season, and that has only been amplified after seeing how fast some of our new guys are and the speed out of some of our veterans too. So
well,
it's gonna
and
be
Nick put out there in the chat that a quarter of our chase right now is rookies.
that's
So
impressive.
yeah, that again just exemplifies the talent that we have right now and what they can do with what they have. I mean, Daytona, Iowa, Texas, all these in the first 3 races. It's fun. It's fun to see all the new talent coming into the league.
It is a really good point. And I feel like we say that every season or every week that, oh, look how much talent we have compared to last season. But I mean, it's true again. Like last season was a step up in talent, and this season is an even further step up in talent. So it's really difficult each week, but that's what makes it fun. We'll move on to our team standings here. Limitless Esports surprising everyone and
Oh
currently on
yeah.
top with 82 points.
inconceivable.
Inconceivable,
No
right?
implosions yet. I think that's
Yeah,
the key
yeah.
right now.
Wait until the chase to start.
Exactly.
But Maverick Motorsports only 1 point behind in second. Currently have Freaky Fast Racing in third, but
Yeah.
they have elected to withdraw themselves from the team standings going forward. So we can just forget about them. I wish I could just
Yeah.
erase them right now.
Just race
They
us.
don't exist.
Yeah.
Robert Moyer does not exist.
People can still
But
hear me, just so you know.
hey, that's fine.
Okay, just letting you know.
I'm not worried, buddy. I'm not worried.
Right, we need to
But
change our name to Freaky Slow. Yeah, Freaky
that is
Slow
your team name.
Fast Racing. Let's do that.
Freaky average fast.
There you
Freaky
go.
mediocre, freaky meatball of the week racing.
Oh my goodness.
Southern Excitement in fourth, Accelerate fifth, and 6 Racers for Christ. So seventh, your defending team champions, Next Level Motorsports, slow out of the gates, obviously. Redacted Motorsports in eighth, Whiplash Racing ninth, Full Tilt Sim Sports. All considering everything that's gone wrong, I feel like with Full Tilt being in 10th isn't the worst. Meatball Motorsports 11th, Spirit Racing 12th, and Synergy Racing Group rounding out in 13th.
Interesting.
Someone asked Adam, sorry. Oh, obviously Adam sees this. Okay.
I will return promptly.
You are fine, buddy. You're fine. Let's go ahead and start talking about Michigan, and then after that, hopefully Adam's back and we can get our actual picks for Michigan. Carl, I'll let you start
Michigan.
talking about Michigan because I do know you love Michigan, one, and
I-
two, you're sponsoring this race.
Yes, that thank you. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, I love Michigan. I think Michigan is a track that really works well for me and I kind of understand it. It's one of my more favorite, it's become, I should say, one of my more favorite tracks on the service. But and that's why I decided to sponsor it. It is the the BRB Generation 250, and we're doing 125 laps at Michigan. And the reason, obviously, and I think to really underscore Dakota Camper's announcement today that they did an anatomy scan and had the healthy baby, that was kind of the purpose behind it. I know Adam, he's not there. They're obviously him and Julia are expecting. Dakota Camper, he's expecting. Jamie Plord had a baby. Dustin Stallings had a baby before his win last season in Vegas, I believe.
So you're
So,
saying people
uh,
are bored?
you know what? One way or the other, it's happening, and we're
That's what you do
bringing
during the
the
off
next
season.
generation of racers into this, and I think it's exciting. And I always talk about the community and the camaraderie that we have, but I think the BRB is special, and we are kind of a family, and we're all kind of vibing off everyone else's success.
All
So
right.
it's good to
No
see,
break
and
between
everything
season
else
4 and
happening.
season 5.
Otherwise, we're gonna have more. I was spitballing with Adam yesterday of, you know how we have a powder puff race? Why don't we have a toddler race or a BRB kids race?
Oh my good.
Um,
Next year, or yeah, next year or
we'll
2
give
years.
it a year or two,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
probably a little bit more. But hey, in the future, who knows?
They'll be the future of BRB. They'll carry on our legacy.
exactly.
Someone will need to. But going into Michigan, Carl, how are you feeling, or what are some things to look out for?
Michigan is a drafting track, and it's super. I mean, we always talk about how the next gen is aero sensitive and everything else, and I think Michigan, along with Auto Club, unfortunately, are the two tracks that really put an emphasis on that aero because you have to draft, but it's not all out. You have to preserve tire. You have to enter carefully because if you burn up that right front, you're just plowing and you just make a bad situation worse. It's almost the opposite of Iowa because if Iowa you slid or you got a little loose on exit, you'd warm up those tires and just made a bad situation worse. In Michigan, it's the same thing, but with the right front. So you got to balance that. Michigan also has the ability to turn into a fuel mileage race. It's wide, so you can go for maybe 5 wide if you're feeling brave. Large runoff in the infield. It has the potential. You can have some really long runs in a lot of green flag racing, or depending on the situation of people aggressive levels in terms of points and stuff, we could see a lot of 3, 4 wide racing. Who knows what that can bring on? So I think we have a fun combination of drivers and track combo to really make it exciting for the guys at Pit Stop TV.
It will definitely be exciting for Pit Stop TV. I can assure you that. I mean, we saw Michigan last season. Zachary King won a stage by taking tires there at the end of it, and those
Oh, I
tires paid off
remember
for him.
that.
Oh yeah, it was a big deal
Yeah,
because
I
he
think I
wouldn't shut up about it.
yeah, I think I got second or third in that stage. I think I was leading on the restart and he just blew by me and I was like, "Oh, there's a king up here."
Yeah, those tires come in to help at Michigan more than you would think.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm trying to pull up the results from last time we were here.
Well, while you do that, I love Michigan.
Yep,
It's
me
one of my
too.
favorite tracks on the
Yep.
schedule. I think bigger tracks that we race at, Michigan and Auto Club are my two favorites out of all of the tracks that we've kind of raced regularly. So I'm really looking forward to Michigan. Um, it's going to be exciting. You know what I mean? Michigan is it can either be one of the most exciting races from a broadcast and driving standpoint, or it can be one of the most frustrating places because
Mhm.
unfortunately the restarts and because there's like two races within a Michigan race, right? At least in the sim. You have the beginning of the race with the start and the first maybe 10 or 15 laps or so where everybody is just on top of each other and it's all the cars are super equal, and then you have those tires start to wear out, and then you have the field kind of start to spread out or get into packs, at least as far as who's saving tires better. I really hope that I know everyone's super busy, but I really hope we get a good turnout on the Monday practice race so guys can get kind of used to how the car drives in a pack like that. And hopefully we can put on a good show. I believe last season we had an excellent race at Michigan, if I remember. I believe it was I believe it was a really good race. Steven's
It
pulling up the
was.
stats now, I think, but
It was a
I
great
think it
race.
was
Sorry, go ahead.
no, it's okay. I was just gonna say I think it was low on the caution count, and I think we had just really good racing. So I hope we can duplicate that this season.
Yes, it was a low caution count. Only 4 cautions for incidents.
Hmm.
29 lead changes. With
Wow.
13 different leaders for
That's at the
125
line.
laps.
iRacing doesn't count.
Yes,
You know,
that is leading a lap essentially
right?
is where it counts the change there. With 13 different guys at least leading one lap, 29 different times. It was a lot of back and forth movement for a lot of people. I do know it ended under a long green flag run, so the distance between finishers wasn't as close as it could be. Um, Johnny ended up winning the race by just about 2 seconds over Mason Houseman. Adam, yourself, you were in third, about 3 seconds back, and little gaps here and there. But that's also something that comes into play at Michigan is you can get those long green flag runs, and pending how it shakes out, you'll have some guys taking 2 tires, some guys taking 4 tires, and both can work out just depending on the situation. Or you can have a sprint to the finish and everyone have fresh tires, and it's some of the most exciting racing you can see. So I would fully expect something similar. Unfortunate thing about Michigan is when there are wrecks, usually, excuse me, pretty big ones, enough big ones to take you out of the race, kind of like a Daytona Talladega situation, just
Yeah,
because of the speeds.
they're race enders for sure a lot of the time. Like Steven said with the speed. So I'll since Richard isn't here, I would hate to break tradition in the BRB Racing League. Every single time we race Michigan, Richard likes to complain about when I brought out a late race yellow 4.5
I'll complain about it too because you ruined both of our chances.
3.5 years ago. So there we go. Richard, Carl, Steven, and Steven Stimpian, who is not even part of this league, but I am sorry for side drafting for no reason and killing you
As you
3 years
should.
ago. Just wanted to
It-
get
it-
wanted to
That
represent.
wasn't 3 years ago.
It was a
It's been
while
couple
ago.
years.
It's been a minute, Steven. We've been doing this for
It's been about
'Cause
3
that was
years.
the Wicked, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was Wicked.
season 1 of Wicked, I think.
Season 1 of Wicked. It
Mhm.
was on. Holy crap! It was August 3rd, 2022.
That wasn't 3 years ago. Oh yeah.
I
can't
think
believe that's
Man,
I
we've
think
known
we
each other for that
broadcasted that.
Steven, we've been
Well,
doing this.
Maybe.
We've
I
been
don't know.
doing this a minute, you guys.
Dude,
Like
reminding
BRB's
me. I'm getting so
BRB's
old.
existed for I think BRB's gonna exist for 2 years this year in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah,
So
you're right. Later this fall, I think.
we should have an anniversary thing.
Oh, great! Another thing we got to
BRB
set up.
Bash. Woo!
More things.
Speaking of a bash, did you guys touch on the sponsor of the race yet?
Carl
Oh.
did mention it. Yes.
The
Yes.
BRB Generations 250, which I love. I also love the logo. I don't know if we have the logo handy to pull up or not, but
No.
I do not. I can put it in the Dropbox for you, Robert, if that helps.
it's
Yeah. Go ahead and throw
yeah,
it in
I
there.
mean, I don't want to make more work for anybody, but
It's
it
no
is
big
an
deal. I had it
it
up.
is
I just gave it to King. So
yeah, I just posted it up in general a minute ago, or not general, but in the Discord a minute ago. But it is an excellent logo, very near and dear to Carl and I's heart, as well as 2 of our other drivers. So get that pulled up so
it's
everyone
up
can
there,
go past.
Robert. Now.
I'm just waiting for it to come through.
Carl, did you make that?
No, I had Steven put that together, but it was kind of my idea because I did want it the BRB generation, and I was like, it's kind of a to them, so I kind of wanted to make it those kitty car kind of things. I thought it would look good, and Steven did really well with it.
It's an adorable idea and an excellently executed idea by Steven. So good job to you both. I thought it was.
It was an
I thought it was
extension
great.
of the BRB baby logo.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
it's
because
funny. Now that Liana's in her getting bigger, we put her in that onesie quite a bit, and it's just it cracks me up. I think we wanted to try to put her on the podcast last week, but right before we went live, she spit up all over it. It's like, oh well, there goes that photo op.
It's fine.
Well,
It's
that
fine.
is what babies do, man. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's crazy how many of us are becoming dads, within the league kind of together.
Oh,
There it is. There's
there you
that
go.
logo. So you see we got the BRB Generation 250 Michigan at the top, and
If you
then
look
above
closely, you got some car numbers on there.
We do, and those car numbers all represent recent or expecting dads in our league. So we got what Dakota Camper up there. What's the other number? Is it 38?
Jamie
Got
Ford,
Ford,
because
Jamie
he had a
Ford,
baby
and
towards the end of
Carl.
last season.
myself,
Uh,
and Carl. So
Well, and then Dustin had Dustin and
Yes.
his wife had a
yes,
child
But
for
we ran out of
Vegas.
space.
Yeah.
but we ran out of space. So we went in
So stop having
chronological
kids.
order of baby having to determine the space for the logo. But yeah,
Well, Carl
no,
had to
it's
go first because I mean it's his race.
absolutely. Absolutely. And fun fact, Dakota and I, well, our wives, I should say, are due 2 days apart, I think. I think we're due on the
Wow.
6th, or no, we're due on the 8th of October, and I think Camper's due on I think he's due on the 3rd or 4th or something like that. I can't remember. It's not
Amazing.
it's within a week of each other, which is nuts. So
Hey, all I
we're
know is Camper's probably coming to the Bristol night race, and apparently Adam isn't because something about a baby. All I'm hearing is
I
excuses at this point.
is my wife still on here? Don't get her started. I'll be rolling her happy ass up and down that hill at Bristol. If we go to this race.
Hey, they say
and a great
exercise
place
is
to stay.
good, so
Well, yeah, we might just be there until we have the baby at that point. So
Hey, we got good hospitals here.
duly noted.
Oh boy. So let's go ahead and get into our oh, Julie said she'll be there. All right.
Ah, see, now I have to have this conversation.
We've got the
Great
guest room. We've got
You're
the guest
welcome,
room ready
Adam.
for you guys.
It's not like you've had a hard enough week. Good luck.
Yeah, yeah. We're not even gonna get into my week, so
Let's go ahead and pick our winners for this week. While we are picking our individual winners, everyone in the chat, go ahead and pick out some names. Once I see a couple of names get used a couple times, I'll make a poll, and then that will be the official way we'll do the driver vote, or more so of the chat vote for the winner for Michigan. With that being said, Carl, I'll let you go first.
You know what? I know this is going to be, leaning way out there and taking a big chance. But I'm going to choose a rookie, Ronnie Osmer. Doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to matter where we go this season so far. He's out front, so I think a track at Michigan will help him get maybe even that second win.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with I don't know if it's correct to say an ex-ARCA driver, but yeah, he's obviously very talented, and he's going to be up there. With Richard's pick, let me read it off real quick. He has Carl Pooler. And he says Carl and I work
no.
work really well together at Michigan. As long as Adam isn't racing for third, and he is due for that win.
Well, can't say I'm shocked. I knew it was. He's not even here, and he still managed to do it. So.
Exactly.
That's great. And that's the thing is, I need to do what I did at Iowa and avoid all the chaos, because I feel like damage at Michigan is so much more amplified because it is so dependent on the aerodynamics. So as long as I can stay out any kerfuffles or anything that may happen, yay, cool.
Yeah, it's all about staying out of it, though. So it starts with the qualifying. And I'm going to go with Johnny Wood Jr., who won here last season. And it seems like, not that he's bad on short tracks by any means, but any track over 1.5 miles, he really excels at. And I think it just fits his driving style really well. And Adam, who you got for us?
Oh well, I was gonna go with Mr. Wood, but
All right.
at the
You
risk
can
of
still.
well, let me let's just
If you want to be creative, you can.
let me think on it for just a second here. Who else? So
Good.
I mean, my logic behind Johnny, obviously, won last season. Every single one of these 1.5 tracks we go to, he just shows up and tends to put a whooping on people. But with that said, I don't know, man. I got a funny feeling that this is Dustin's year for some reason. So I'm gonna put my pick on Dustin this season.
I was thinking the same thing.
There you have
Dustin
it.
is
Both going Dustin.
Hmm
Yeah, Dustin has brought more speed at the end of last season and the first couple races this season than he's had in the past, and he already started off pretty quick. So I think if he can not right hook me at New Hampshire and just not get in too much trouble, he'll be all right.
Yeah, Steven, not to nitpick here, but isn't this technically week 4? Who will be guessing for?
I mean, it's not technically week
Oh.
4. I mean, it's definitely week 4.
You know what?
Steven doesn't care. It's week 3.
My head hurts right now. Actually, now that I'm thinking about this,
Steven's
I'm trying to
life
think
is
in the order we did this, and I don't remember now.
Steven's life is a lie.
I don't know what
Because
to
I feel
tell
like
you.
why are we missing week 2? I thought we did that.
So, my guess, what had happened was okay. Yes, so we didn't do our first podcast until after Daytona. So week 1 was technically
you're
for
right.
Texas.
Correct.
In week 2, I was not here last week,
Correct.
so I didn't have y'all's votes. And yes,
You are right.
that's what it is.
Understood.
I'm going to create the poll really quick. I see Ronnie or Cameron voting for himself, so let it slide. I'll throw another fun one in there. You'll
I
see
need to
it in
put a
second.
timer up on my stream box so I 2 minutes to vote.
And your 2 minutes start now.
While
What?
we're waiting for the fan. Oh, Robert's dancing.
My name's in there. Sweet. Can I
I
vote
only
for
got-
myself?
You can.
Woohoo! I'm
Nothing
going
that says
to.
You can't.
All right. Look at me. Oh, come on, guys. Oh, y'all suck.
The one poll you want to win.
Oh, the number's going down.
I should have figured with putting Ronnie's name on there, everyone's obviously gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna say this seems like an intentionally lopsided poll, but
I mean, honestly, any way you cut it, I could put a bunch of good names up there, and I think Ronnie's still a little lopsided there.
yeah, you're probably not wrong.
Ronnie's saying he's picking himself. I think that's a valid pick there.
We should
Yep, I
You should
think
always
that's a
bet
good-
on yourself.
we should start
that's a good
doing
pick, Ronnie.
stage winner polls.
Stage winner polls. That's a shot in the dark, honestly.
Too many polls.
YouTube likes it.
Does YouTube like it?
YouTube
While
is
we're
a
waiting on
stripper.
the nice. While we're waiting on the rest of the votes to trickle in, who's excited about the Indianapolis 500 and Coke 600 this weekend?
Okay, I'm gonna throw in Monaco GP just because I love this weekend. I wake up, watch Monaco, then watch Indy, then watch the 600. I love this weekend of racing.
I used to watch Monaco every year. I used to do the same thing, Carl. Monaco, Indy, Coke. But I'll tell you what, the F1 cars are just so big now. I just feel like the racing isn't the same there.
Well, they're
But-
pulling a NASCAR and adding a gimmick where you have to pit 2 times. Doesn't matter what, you have to pit 2 times. So we can see some interesting stuff.
Well, I'll probably watch. It's on early over here, isn't
Sounds
it? Doesn't it
gimmicky.
start at like
Yeah.
7 or 8 in the morning, something like that?
Something like that.
I'll have it on, but
Maybe
I
I'll
don't know
watch
if I'll be watching it.
I'm definitely not going to be watching the F1 race because I really just don't care.
That's fair.
At the end of the day, I'm sorry.
My-
Steven's,
what it is.
Steven's
My
not a man of
eyelids will be
culture.
watching it.
Sorry, I'm not rich. But
I am also not rich.
Indy's going to be good as long as that rain holds off. Really excited for it. Unfortunately,
The
wasn't able to join
forecast,
my friends there.
and we'll miss you dearly, and we'll probably talk a bunch of smack to you via the internet while we're there, but
Yeah,
we
that's
understand.
what it is. It's what it is.
The forecast does look better though. It
does it
looks
now?
better than it. Yeah, for where the actual racetrack is, I think Julie pulled it up this morning, and it actually didn't have rain on Sunday now.
Hmm.
But obviously, the whole East Coast, if anybody lives over on this side of the country, is just getting destroyed. It's rained for 3 weeks.
Yep.
Yes.
So
Yep.
and where I'm here, I'm here in Northeast Ohio, and I think in the last 7 days, I think we had one day where it didn't rain, and I think it's rained for 3 consecutive. And when I say consecutive, like it has not stopped raining.
Yeah,
Mhm.
same here.
So hopefully Mother Nature takes a chill pill for the weekend, not only for Indy but for Charlotte too. But specifically Indy, I have obviously some investment in the Indy race with Larson trying to do the double. I just want him to do it. So hopefully Indy gets started on time and he can get down to Charlotte. And the
Well, I
poll's
mean, not
closed.
only yeah, and not only that, they have the hybrid system, and drivers have been having issues for the past 2 weeks there with wrecks, crashes, flips, in qualifying. So it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a wild 500. You guys are in for a treat.
I talked to Julie about this, because she doesn't really follow IndyCar, but I said, this, if of all the ones we could have picked to go to, because this is something we'll probably only do once. I mean, maybe we'll do it someday in the future, but um, of all the ones we could have picked to go to, I think we picked probably the craziest,
Mm.
Oh
as far
yeah.
as at least the way it's set up on paper, the craziest one we could have picked in like the last 10 years.
That and
Oh yeah.
Team Penske stuff.
And
Ooh.
there's been so much drama, like Robert
Mm.
just said with Penske and all of that's going
Yep.
on. The hybrid system. I mean, how many?
The rookie
I mean,
getting the
I watch
pole.
I watch Indy qual. Yeah,
Oh
the
man.
rookie got the pole. I watch Indy qualifying every single year, and I don't watch practice every day they're out there because they're out there every day, for a week and a half or whatever it is. But I have never seen so many veteran drivers make huge. I mean, these were huge wrecks during practice and qualifying. I mean, we had, I think, 2 or 3 flips. Obviously Larson had his 2 incidents and just a lot of other crashes just with one car driving around out there. So I'm excited. I can't wait, to be honest. I think it's going to be an absolute disaster and it's going to be so fun to watch.
Real quick, not to waste time on it, but just give your picks of where you think Larson's going to finish
And
this year.
if he had the same cars he had last season, I don't think it's far fetched to think he could win it.
Yeah, I think if the cars were the same, I would agree with Steven. I think realistically, based on what I've seen out of the team, the car, and Kyle, through the last 2 weeks, I think optimistically, I'm hoping for a top 10. Realistically, I hope he gets I hope he's in the top 15. I just think that's realistically where
That's
he's at with
I'm thinking
pace. I think,
between 15th and 20th.
yeah, I'd like to see him above 15th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, optimistically, he gets a top 10 and gets to Charlotte on time. That would be kind of a perfect day for me. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if he does better, that's great. But I think last year, man, that he had it. I think he had a real shot to win that race last year.
Yep.
And it just obviously he made a mistake and it didn't work out. But yeah, I'm thinking 15th. 10th to 15th, I think is realistic.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. Top 10 is definitely realistic. I don't know if top 5 is in the cards, but who knows? Maybe the car that he has and whatever that he's got with them will drive better in race conditions.
Well,
for
not
all
only
we
that,
know.
I mean, the other thing we have to consider is what we just talked about. It's not in Kyle's nature to stay out of trouble, unfortunately. But if we do have an unpredictable race as far as crashes and mistakes or hybrid problems, and and he doesn't fall victim to any of that, maybe he does run up towards the front. I just don't think based on pure speed he's going to be up there. So
Yeah. All right.
Oh, you got an opinion on that?
I think a top 10 in both the 500 and the 600, if everything works out, is entirely possible. That would make him the second driver ever to finish in the top 10 in both,
it'll
next
if he
to Tony Stewart.
if he finishes both races, he's still only the second guy to do it.
Yeah.
Tony's
That is true.
There's been 5 or 6 guys that have attempted it, but Tony's the only one to finish both, and I think he finished 3rd in the 500 and 6th in the 600.
which is insane.
He did 1 year. When he did it, he did finish top 10 in both races.
Well, that would be the year I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's I think is as far as Kyle goes, I think that's his goal, right? Like obviously he wants to go win both races, but obviously going to Charlotte, he can win. There's no question that he can
Oh,
win the
yeah.
600. He's done it. I think multiple times. I know he won in 21, and I feel like he's won it since then too. But yeah, Indy, man, it's gonna be nuts. I'm excited.
Well, do we have anything else to get into tonight? I think that basically covers up all
Yeah.
league stuff.
Yeah, and we're already
Yeah.
at an hour and 15 minutes, so.
I think
Wow.
I think we hit the league talking points pretty well.
Yeah, sounds good. But I appreciate everyone tuning in. Good showing out tonight. Adam, thank you for joining us this evening on short notice. Richard, can't believe you're not here again already.
I
Already
did
taking weeks off.
I did change the Holler podcast channel status to live. Richard is lame.
Oh, that's perfect.
That's
perfect.
fitting.
But obviously, a big shout out to all of our sponsors, allowing us to do what we enjoy doing each week, even if we send 400 messages after the race of how upset we are at each other. And that's Butt Kicker, the leader in haptics, Sundance Pizza, Idealise, Ascendance Trucks, RevSimShop.com, Performance Food Group, Maddox Graphics, and Advanced GG. Promo code again for Advanced GG is WolfXLive10 for 10% off your order. And all of those proceeds go directly back into the league. If you check the description of this video, you can see links to our sponsors directly to their websites if you want any more information on them. And also check out the BRB merch hauler for any of your team merch, league merch, etc. But thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see you next Tuesday at Michigan for the BRB Generation 250.
Thank you guys.
Wait.
Buckle it up.
Yeah.
Buckle it up.
Buckle it up.
Or you'll die.
die.
We'll catch y'all next week.
Thanks, guys.